an old cowhand from the Rio Grande. No, my legs ain't bow and my cheeks ain't tan. I'm a cowboy who never saw a cow, never rode a steer 'cause I don't know how, 'cause it sure ain't fixing to start it now. The yippee-i-oh-ki-yay.
Well, every year in Angels Camp, Calaveras County, California, we celebrate the Mark Twain Wild West Fest. What this is the point of origin of all American literature out west. It all began with a story about a frog that I overheard over at the Angels Hotel. And we retold it there at Jackass Hill with the Gillis Boys, and the rest is history. I wrote the story, and from there it launched a literary career and established a new genre of literature, American literature, out west. We celebrate this every October in Angels Camp. So now, I would say, let's go and enjoy the Mark Twain Wild West Fest.
I'm John Carolla, member of the Kit Carson Mountain Men, and these are some of my boys here. And somebody was asking me a question the other day. He said, how come you guys wear all these buckskin? Well, you know, when you're out in the wilderness and there's no civilization or stores to buy clothes, you got to survive on what's out there. And so the critters out there that we get our food from, we take their hides and we make hats with them and shirts and pants. Depends on them. Deer is the most plentiful, and raccoons and possum and badgers, all sorts of things like that. So that's how we get our clothes. Now, Kit Carson Mountain Man Club has been around since 1937. Started in Amador County, the oldest mountain man club in the United States. Members included John Wayne, Ronald Reagan, Chuck Sipes, Ken Curtis. We have had a lot of important people in our club over the years. And we still perpetuate the history of the Old West and the time period of Carson and Fremont coming through California here.
My buckskinner name is Lightfoot.
Hi, my name is Peter. I'm from Amador County. Been here most of my life.
Hi, my name is Lynn Thompson. I'm from Valley Springs, California. Been here 58 years.
I'm John Carolla. They call me Bugler John. Been with Kit Carson Mountain Men for 47 years.
I'm Jim Faddis, and I'm a Kit Carson Mountain Man, and I've been in there for a long time too.
And my name is Slim, and I've been here for 30 years, and I've been a Kit Carson Mountain Man for 4 years.
Welcome to Angels Camp in Calaveras County. We're here at the Mark Twain Wild West Fest. Come join us.
Yeehaw!
Hi, gorgeous. I'm looking for a friendly face. I see lost someone.
Hey there, cowboy.
Hi, Rip.
Howdy.
Nobody, I'm trying to relate.
I'm sure you are.
Want to read?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm on duty. I'm a sheriff. Yeah. Well, hey there. Whoa. We got a few laws around here you should probably be aware of. Being drunk on the street is something we don't like. So we got a cure for drunks on the street. It's this.
What are you having?
Shut up.
What, you want to hold hands with me?
Yeah, I want to hold hands.
Oh. What are you doing?
It's called arresting you.
Where's that bring that? You gotta help me.
Shut up. All right. Now, it's time for you and I to go down to Who Scout and have a little downtime. Yeah, buddy. What do you boys want?
Babs is at sea. We want him.
You want him?
Yeah.
Well, I got a prior claim right now. He was arrested for being drunk on the street.
What's new?
Nothing, except he's going down to Who Scout to spend the night.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's about far enough, buddy. Right there, that's about far enough. Give him the bottle. Hey boys, I tell you what, why don't you head back to the saloon, leave us be, and I won't shoot your partner here, okay? You just guys get off the street right now.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Shoot! Julie! Oh, you shot! Oh, you want to be my friend and you shot! Oh, what the heck did you shoot me for? What'd you shoot me for?
Well, boys, I guess now I got you arrested for shooting people on the street.
I hate you now! I hate you!
All right, boys, put your weapons down the street right now. Go to jail. Put them down. Put them on the ground right now. On the ground right now. Put them on the ground. Well, boys, I hate to use this old line on you, but my deputy's behind you with a shotgun right now.
Oh, yeah.
Put them guns on the ground right now.
Boys. He's not kidding.
I'm not kidding. Hey, you know what? You just earned yourself a bonus, deputy. Good job. Are you still here? Here, deputy.
We have to listen to him whine?
Shoot him.
I want a drink.
You know what? Shut up. Well, yeah, that's better. I believe I owe you a bonus, deputy. Let's walk down to the jail and I'll get you right now. Thank you. I got that paperwork. Yeah, you did a great job.
I'm back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly gypsum weed. Back in the saddle again, riding the range once more. That's right. Toting my old 44, where you sleep out every night and the only law is right. Back in the saddle again, whoopee-tie-yo, rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle again. Yes, I am. Whoopee-tie-yo, I go my way. Back in the saddle again. saddle again. Riding the range once more. Yes, I am dead. Toting my old 44. Where you sleep out every night and the only law is right. Back in the saddle again. Whoopee-tie-yo, rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle again. One more time. Whoopee-tie-yo, I go my way. Back in the saddle again. Yodel for Steve-O. Thank you, young lady, for that tip.
That's what we love to see, an audience starved for entertainment.
Oh, no, Steve. I think they're applauding because the yodeling's finally over.
Oh, is that what it is?
When the Central Pacific Railroad started building, it was actually signed during the President Abraham Lincoln's administration, actually thought of way before the Civil War. Now, a lot of people don't know that they think that Central Pacific was the very first railroad in California in the 1860s, but that's not true. Around 1855, they built the Sacramento Valley Railroad near Rockland and Sacramento area and Folsom. And so that was actually the very first railroad in California, the Sacramento Valley. And back in those days, of course, there was no transcontinental railroad, so all the locomotive and rails, a lot of them, the rails came from England, and the locomotives were built on the East Coast, and they'd bring them over on sailing ship around Cape Horn and deliver them in San Francisco, and then they would barge them up so far, and then they would transport them, of course, to reassemble there. And the Sacramento Valley Railroad was the very first railroad, and that was in 1855, long before, 10 years before the Transcontinental Railroad really started going. Right now we're going to do an early song from 1840s. It talks about track layers who worked on the very first railways in England in the 1830s and 40s and 50s, and it's called Paddy on the Railway. Has a very redundant melody because it is a synchronized work song, mostly for lifting rail. Those early rails weighed about 500 pounds apiece, and a good railroad, an Irish crew could carry, 4 guys could carry those out. In fact, the day that they laid 10 miles in one day on the Transcontinental Railroad, those were hand-picking Irish track crew members that worked with the Chinese construction workers. And they said that those boys handled over 4,000, something like 4,000 rails in one day, one crew of 8 Irish immigrants. Basically, there were 4 guys with each rail, and they worked side by side. So one crew would have a 500-pound rail, another crew would have a 500. They'd bring their tongs, they'd dump it, and then they'd go back and fetch another one. And then, of course, the Chinese workmen would come right behind them, spiking and laying out the joiners. So anyways, this is the first railroad song ever written, railway, called Paddy on the Railway, originally from the 1840s. 1, 2, 3, 4. In 1841, I couldn't be called at britches on, but me called at britches on to work upon the railway. That's the ori-ori-I, that's the ori-ori-I, that's the ori-ori-I, working on the railway. In 1842, I left the old Funny said, let's the blood that run me through a penny worked on the railway. That's the ori-ori-I, that's the ori-ori-I, that's the ori-ori-I, working on the railway. In 1843, 1843 was when he would speak Pidgee. Etiquette voices man and me were working on the railway. That's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, working on Jim Nelson. In 1845, I thought myself were dead alive. Thought myself were dead alive, working on the railway. That's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay. Steve McGarver! In 1847, sweet Pidgee, she was dead. She left Winchett, she left the living to work upon the railway. That's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, working on the railway. In 1848, I learned to drink me whiskey straight, and I can drink that can't be beat while Paddy worked on the railway. That's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, working on the railway. That's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, working on the railway. That's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, that's the ori-ori-ay, working on the railway.